Well, g'day and welcome back to the shed. And after some deliberation, and thanks for all your comments about this, I've decided to go with this Columbus radio. Part of the deciding factor was that Steve from New Zealand said that he has a knob available that he can send over to me to replace this missing one here. So that was kind of the clincher. And Steve also sent me some very useful information about this radio, and I'll show you that later. His channel's called Vintage Radio Steve, and he's done a number of videos about radio restoration, mainly of New Zealand radios. And what he doesn't know about New Zealand radios is not worth knowing, trust me. But more of that later. Let's have a look at the radio and see what we're up against. So, first impressions, this thing is a monster. This is a very big radio. It's basically half a console radio, and it's marketed, or was marketed, as a table model. And all I can say is they must have bloody big tables in New Zealand. On first inspection it looks fairly plain, but looking in detail at the woodwork it actually has some quite nice detail. Now this has 4 short wave bands and broadcast band on it, switchable by I think this switch, yep, and see the little dot moves up and down as you switch between bands, which is a nice touch, and it all seems to be working, so that's good. On the right here we have a tone control switch, and it's not the usual potentiometer, it's an 11 position rotary switch, and Steve tells me that it is quite a thing to see. It's got a whole mess of resistors and capacitors to give it different tone control settings. I imagine that would be interesting to deal with, and we'll probably need recapping. We'll just see how it is. So here we've got the tuning, and that appears to work. The dial string's obviously connected if it has a dial string. Yeah, this will be the tone. This, I think, is just an on-off switch. And this one here with the missing knob, I guess must be volume, because there's nothing left for it to be. Even the knobs have some nice details on them. They're Bakelite knobs, and they're embossed with this sailing ship motif. All of them. Even the on-off switch down here has one. And that's the main reason why I really wanted to have a knob for it before I went ahead with the restoration, because it just wouldn't be right to put something else on, and I'm not all that confident of my ability to mould something that would exactly match this. It would be tricky, just knocking some dust off it. This dial surround here, it's solid timber, but it appears to be machined out of one solid piece of timber. There's no joins anywhere here. There's also some nice banding along the bottom of the cabinet, which will come up nice when it's stripped and polished. And all the veneer down here and on the other side is intact. There are a couple of small splits there, another small one there, but they should be easy enough to deal with. That one pushes in. That's just the glues let go there. So apart from that, there's absolutely no damage on this cabinet anywhere. No chips, no deep scratches. The varnish is chipping off and it's dulled, but no other damage. So looking in here, this will be aerial and earth wires, I presume. They come out of here, and that seems to, is that just stuck up there? Yes, it is. Cloth covered wire, and it's pretty crunchy. And that's the earth wire. It has this enormous field coil speaker. That is a 10-inch speaker, the biggest speaker I've ever seen in a table radio, if you could call this a table radio. The chassis looks small by comparison. It only takes up half the cabinet or thereabouts, and it's got a magic eye here. But this chassis is about the size you'd expect in a normal radio of this era. Now you look up here, there are some more valves just stuck in the cabinet. That one's come out. Oh, that one obviously belongs back here, and there's another one here. Got their grid leads attached, but the valves have been pulled out of their sockets. I don't know why that would be. Makes very little sense to me. This IF can's had a new grid lead put in it, so someone's done some work on this before. Clearly has a tuned RF stage. There's a 3-gang tuning capacitor there. I'm not sure what this is underneath the magic eye tube there. I'll have a look at the valve line up in a minute. And we have this model plate on the back which says it's a model 90 and the serial number is 5416, made by Radio Corporation of New Zealand. Now Steve tells me that the first digit of the serial number is the year of production, so that makes this a 1945 model, and it would have been produced shortly after the end of the war, when the government allowed factories to produce domestic radios again after the war effort. Okay, I lost my camera battery while I was taking it out, but never mind, it didn't miss much. Here it is out on the bench, and I'll just put these two valves back in. This is the 6K7, so just checking the schematic, it's the first one, isn't it? Yep. So it will go there. And put his little can on him. They're a nice firm fit. It's a bit of a mystery why these were taken out and laying in the cabinet though. And the 6J8 in there. Put the can on him. And there we go. Actually, that's not shorting. Okay, so looking at it, what's the 6U5 magic eye tube? I said 6U5, 6G5, so I guess they're equivalent. It's got this metal box here, which what looks like a cap on the top of it. I don't know what that's all about, but looking over it, it looks like it's all there. I don't like the look of this though. There's some, looks like the transformer's been hot at some point. You can see marks up there where this has been hot and fumes or whatever have been escaping. And looking at this side of the transformer, that looks even worse there. There's quite a lot of black stuff gone up there. It might be alright, fingers crossed, but I might just check the transformer first of all and just make sure it's all okay. Just tipping it upside down, or on its side at least. I don't want to go upside down with it yet. I don't have any way of holding the chassis up yet. That will have to be done. Okay, so let's have a look. Not seeing any major signs of distress. These electrolytics look really gooey. They're probably cactus. This one here's kind of got goo melted. That's just coming off everywhere. Goo melted onto it. This resistor looks like it's been hot. There's no other real signs of distress. A few waxes in there as well. And looking at the top of the chassis, there's some more waxes, and they all seem to be covered in really soft gooey stuff. Quite a messy chassis. This here's got wax melted all over it. Where it's coming from I don't know. I suspect it comes out of these electrolytics, and they are apparently soldered to the chassis. They seem to be attached. That one wiggles, that one doesn't. Okay, well, first things first, let's just check out the transformer. I'll put this up where you can see it, and I'll just zero that. Yeah, that's alright. So, well, just look across the plug first, I guess. I'm getting nothing. Oh, there's a power switch. Still getting nothing. Okay, nothing there. Let's just check from the terminals here. So nothing there. I don't like the look of this. Maybe the power switch is crook. Maybe. Where is it? That's it there. It's these two brown wires go down here. These ones here. I think they go to here, and where's the other one go? It is certainly these two. It seems to go from here to here. The switch does seem to be operating, so that has continuity through the switch. Let's just now have a look across the line, and we still don't have anything. I've got a bad feeling about this. I think we might have an open circuit primary. There is nothing there. So these wires go back up to the transformer. I might just have to take this off and trace the wiring through. Have a quick look at the schematic. I don't think there's anything else in that circuit though. Well, here it is, AC in, and it's just got switch there. That's all. There's nothing else. Could have a look at the wiring here. I might just take this strip off because it's obviously bent and it's difficult to trace what goes where. These bolts obviously go right through. Okay. I've just taken out this tag strip, hoping to find a bad solder or something, but no such luck. These are clearly the primary going in, and there is nothing. So these would be the secondary coming out of the transformer. They go straight on to the rectifier tube. So let's just have a look across the secondary. At least I guess that's what we're looking at there. And here we're getting something across the secondary. Not that that does us any good without a primary. Yeah, what's that? That's times 100. So times 10. We're looking at 350 ohms across the secondary. So the secondary is probably all right, and the primary is dead as a doornail. Did I say this was going to be a straightforward restoration? I'll shove this back in for the moment. Let's have a look at this transformer. I can't see any markings on it. I'll have a look around, see what I've got. I might take this off anyway, and see what I can see. I may be in luck, and there may just be a bad contact there, but from the look of those burn marks up the side here, I have a horrible feeling that this thing is absolutely cooked. One thing that's obvious is that if I'm going to work on this chassis, I'm going to have to find a way to support it upside down. This really is a heavy lump. I could build up my arm muscles lifting this up and down for exercise, but I won't do that. There's no easy way to bolt anything to it that I can see. It does have these two brackets underneath that hold it into the cabinet, and it is pretty packed, so I don't want to obstruct anything too much. I just have to see what I can come up with. Okay, so that should at least be stable now. Just tip it over. And there we go. Nice and firm, it's not going anywhere. Now the other thing I want to do to this before I go any further is take this dial glass out to save it from being damaged. I would not want to do that. So it appears to be just held in by this top cover here. Does it have a screw on the other side of it? Yes. Interesting that this only has one dial light fitted, and there's a bracket here for a second one, and the bracket has some scratches on it which suggests that it once had two dial lights. I don't know what's happening there. There's no loose wire hanging around where one used to be. In any case, just carefully bending these brackets back and taking the glass out, and I'll put that somewhere very safe. I'll also turn the tuning capacitor fully closed so that it doesn't get hurt. Lucky the dial string's all still in good condition. There's a bit of a squeak there. I think it maybe needs a little bit of oil on that pulley, but other than that it's good. So now for the good news. I put the word out on Facebook that I needed a replacement transformer for it. I did that about 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 3 o'clock in the afternoon I have a transformer. Thanks to Ron Pond, who also lives in Perth, down in the leafier southern suburbs, and I went down and saw Ron, and he gave me this. Now, it should be more than adequate for what I need. It has a very slightly larger footprint, but I think there's room on the chassis to mount it. Looking at it here, the spacing between the holes here is about the same as the spacing across here, so I can mount it with these two holes, and I'll have to bring these forward a little bit perhaps. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this, but I'm pretty confident that I'll fit it on this chassis, and it's similar in a way. It won't look entirely out of place. Of course I'd like to have an original one, but that's probably not going to happen. If I hadn't got this, I was considering twisting Dave Tipton's arm, perhaps sending him a couple of cruise tickets and asking him if he'd be willing to rewind it. But that's not going to happen, I'm afraid, assuming this is all right, of course. Dave, you miss out on another cruise this time, but perhaps next time. Of course, the big unanswered question is why the primary of this transformer went open in the first place. And I'm not seeing anything glaringly obvious at this point. I was talking to Ron Pond about this when I picked up the transformer, and he suggested, and I agree, that it's possibly a short in the heater winding, the 6.3 volt, or possibly the 5 volt winding to the 5Y3 GT, but that seems less likely because there's less chances of it going. But that's speculation at the moment. I really have very little idea. Okay, so I've undone the screws on this tag strip, and I might now be able to lift it away a bit from the transformer. The other thing is this magic eye tube wiring. I think I should really disconnect this before I go any further. Obviously I'm not going to power it up with that in place, but it is kind of in the way as well. I need to probably cut and label those wires. There's a very crunchy rubber blue wire there too, which, oh yeah, that also goes to the magic eye. Yep, okay. Okay, so just trying to sort out what's what here. These two brown wires are the mains coming in. This one goes from the switch. These wires here go straight to the rectifier. They're going to be the secondary. These ones here run back, these wax covered wires. They will be the 5 volt winding. And here we have the 6.3 volt winding. The center tap, I think, is this one, goes back here onto the can of this capacitor here, this electrolytic, and that all is correct according to the schematic. Okay, so I've taken all the crumbly wiring off that X6U5 and pulled the wires through the chassis. I've labelled where they came from for now. I can work it out from the schematic, but I'm still feeling my way here, so I prefer to label things as I go. So here's something curious and a bit disturbing. This, I presume, is the 6.3 volt heater line. It goes to this blue wire, and only this blue wire, which is connected to the one and only dial lamp. So it's not connected to the heater string at all. Has somebody pulled it off and resoldered it there? The schematic's no help at all. Here's the heater winding. It's got a resistor and then 3 dial lamps in series and ground. Now that's not what I'm seeing at all. The rest of it just goes off both sides, presumably to all the heaters, which are not shown in the schematic. That resistor is, what, 66 ohms. I'm just not seeing anything like that here. Okay. Well, it seems what we've got is not as per the schematic, but this lead from the transformer only goes to this dial lamp. What I think this is actually a loop, and I think there may be a lower voltage tapping on the transformer to run the dial lamp, or lamps. 2 wires twisted together, it's possibly a tapping, and the actual 5 volt line, the actual 6.3 volt heater line is this black wire which runs along the bottom of the chassis. It's all covered in bitumen and stuff and goes straight into the transformer. So they may have done away with that resistor and done this instead. There's bound to have been any number of modifications to this radio during production, and that's maybe one of them. I'll go with that anyway. So we need to get this transformer out, and I'm just going to start cutting wires, I suppose, and desoldering stuff, and see how we go with that. I can actually lift this out a bit more without doing any major damage. In any case, I can get in there enough to sort out what's going on. These wires here will be the 5 volt to the rectifier valve, of course, and the HT. So I'll cut them off. I don't think I need to label them. I think I've worked out what goes on here. So I'll cut them off close to the transformer. There we go. These two obviously go to the mains in, so I'll just chop them off. I'll need to run new wires to the new transformer anyway, I would imagine, but I'll cut them off as close as I can to the transformer. Down there. So these are our 240 volts in. These ones here are our secondary to the rectifier tube. Cut them. And there's this ground, which I guess has got to be the heater ground. I can't quite get to it easily anyway. There's two actually. There's this black wire here which goes to, it's coming from the transformer. That'll be the center tap. That's the center tap. Okay, so I'll just cut that there and I'll label that center tap. And the only remaining one will be the heater ground, which goes to ground just here. I'll just cut him off there. Actually, I don't see any point in desoldering this, I presume, tap winding for the dial lamp. The replacement transformer isn't going to have one, so I'll probably have to revert to what the schematic shows is, I think it's a 66 ohm resistor in line with the dial lamp. Okay, so we can now drop the transformer out, and it's held in just by these 4 screws, with nuts on the other side. Then I get to work out how I fit the new one in. That'll be fun. Okay, so that's the last screw out, and here it comes. So it has a bracket holding on the top as well, and it's just hanging by that. Okay, well that stops it dropping with a clunk onto the bench, I suppose, so that's not a bad thing. Let's just turn it upside down and take that off. Okay, so we'll take this off. Looks like it was just a self-tapper. And this just comes out. There you go. I may as well also take out the Magic Eye with its crunchy wiring. That'll all have to be redone. Oh, up in there it's all broken as well. And just to prove to myself that I haven't done this for nothing, just checking the primary here, and nothing, dead as a doornail, nobody home, not a sausage. I don't know what I would have done if that had continuity after I took it out. A quiet, nervous breakdown probably would have been in order. I may as well have a look underneath and just see what it looks like. Looks easy enough to take apart. Okay, the last screw. Let's just see what this is like inside. Let's nut it off. Come on, out you come. And these screws hold all the laminations in as well. Oh! That is truly cooked. Charcoal. I suppose the other side's similar. It looks even smokier. Yeah, that's all. And one thing for sure, this has been very, very hot. What's this attached? That must be a... don't know, it's attached to ground there somehow. In any case, at least a replacement of it is justified. So this transformer I got from Ron, it's out of a Philips set, and typical Philips, the values printed on this phenolic board here are subject to interpretation, shall we say, but the printing between these two terminals relates to this one, the printing between these two relates to this one, so it's whatever's printed next to it horizontally. Now it has three taps. It's got a 260 volt tap, a 240 and a 220 according to this, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to need. Looking at the voltages unloaded, the 260 volt tap should be okay, but I don't really know. I'll just check what we're getting out of it there, bearing in mind that this is now live. We should be getting 240 volts on here. just going to put this on AC volts, and I'll just check that we should be getting around 230 I think on the mains. 245 today. Okay. Now this should be our 6.3 volts AC for the heater, and we're getting 6.6. Alright, now we found 5 volts between these two here. We've got 5.34 unloaded. That terminal over there says 4 volts. It's giving us 67. 319. This seems to make very little sense. 318. 19 volts. This would make a damn good power supply. But 5.3532 is what we're getting out of there, and that's on the 260 volt tap. Now I don't know what that'll come down to when it's loaded. I'm thinking it should be alright on the 260 volt tap, but what I'm going to do is put a wire off the other two taps and just run it into the chassis in case I need to use a different tap, because I don't want to have to, I'll turn that off before I zap myself, I don't want to have to pull the transformer off and change the tapping. Well, I've soldered up all the wires onto the appropriate terminals, double checked, I'm pretty sure it's all correct. One thing that concerned me is that these terminals on this phenolic board, when the transformer is bolted to the chassis, will only be a few millimeters off the chassis, and I don't think they would touch or short or anything. The other transformer had a different arrangement where the wires went right up inside the casing. So just to avoid any mishaps, I've made this blue plastic insulating spacer, and it will sit in there like that, and perhaps avoid disaster, we hope. So this is now ready to be bolted onto the chassis. Sadly, I have had to drill a couple of holes. I looked at various options of putting holes in a mounting bracket and mounting it using the original holes. None of the options I tried I thought were strong enough or robust enough for the weight of this transformer. I don't want it flopping around, so I've decided to bite the bullet and put in four small holes in the chassis just outside of the existing mounting holes. Sorry to all the purists, I know there are people who hate the thought of putting holes in a chassis, and I'm among them. I don't like doing it if I don't have to, but I think for safety's sake in this case it's the better option. So let's put it in. Just a matter of feeding everything up through the hole. And I'll have quite a bit of sorting out to do afterwards, but there they all are. Now, do I go this way around or that way? It doesn't really matter. Make sure nothing's scraping there. I think this way the wires fitted better. Yep, I think that's better. Now, I probably want something to put that on to hold it up. I'll just put it up on this. And another piece of wood or something. Okay, so if I lift that a little bit more. and manoeuvre it around so the screw holes line up. So just feeding this up through the hole. Now, if I drop that down, well, there it is, all bolted in, pretty solid. So now all I've got to do is hook all these wires up. I think what I might do is at this point take the valves out rather than leave it till the last minute. And of course I'll have to see if I can find out what the cause of the original transformer blowing up was. That might become apparent as I go. So there we go, I've taken them out and labelled them just in case I do anything silly by accident later on. So let's turn this over. It looks a bit of a mess, but I should be able to work out what goes where. Now, that is the 240 volt tap, which I won't be using, so I'll put that over there. Here we've got the neutral and the 260 volt tap there. I could hook them up to the mains here, I guess. That'll be a good start. Okay, so this wire comes from the switch, so we want that to go to the active. This one's the neutral. So this wire here, I'll put it around the back there, will go to the neutral. Now this tag strip actually screws up along the side here underneath, and it is very close to the edge of the chassis. I'm not going to put it back in yet anyway, but I think that I will probably need to provide some better insulation for that, just in case it touches something untoward. Anyway, I guess we'll start with the power. In fact, I'm thinking I might just fit a new cord while I'm at it. No point in resoldering these twice. So far so good, that's all soldered on. And I can bring this back into something like its final position. I'll get these wires out from under it first. And these are the 5 volt winding. This will go back in here and be screwed on. I'm not going to screw it on just yet though. And I just need to hook that earth wire up to here where the other one was. Okay, so that's got the mains hooked up. Now this 5 volt winding and the all but the centre tap of these two need to go across here to the rectifier valve. And I've got a fairly clear path through there, but this cap's in the way. It's a 0.1. I'm thinking I may as well change it anyway. It will probably need to be changed, so I'll just cut it to get it out of the way for the time being. Am I cutting anything else there? No. And just get him out of the way. I'll see if I can get a pair of cutters down there. Alright, so he's out of the way. Seal tight wax moulded paper capacitor, made in USA, Solar Manufacturing Corp, Bayonne, New Jersey. So they obviously sourced, well, at least some of their components from the USA. I might just test that, see what it comes out at. So let's see what it says. 100.9 nanofarads. Gee, that's pretty good. For a 0.1, that's spot on. Surprising. There you go. Question is now, do I put it back or do I replace it with a new one? It is a wax paper cap though, and so yep, I'll put that cap in there. This is one of Carl's 0.1s. And I'll just leave that sticking up there until I've got these wires run. Now this is the 5-volt line to the rectifier tube, these two. So I'll just get these onto that. We'll need to cut them, I guess, about there. So I've got him through the loop there nicely, which is nice when it happens easily. There we go. That's one down, one to go. And there's the other one on. Now this is the 6.3 volt winding there. So that'll, all these wires basically go up to this area. Apart from the centre tap and the heater ground, which goes over here. Well, that's got a lot of it hooked up. I just got the heater winding onto this this one here, and what I want to do is, before I attach the other side to ground, I'm just going to see if we've got anything to ground on the heater winding, and doesn't look like we have, so there's no shorts there. I'll just check the meter. Yep, that's zeroed. So with no valves plugged in, we have nothing to ground on the 6.3 volt winding. So that's a good start. That eliminates that as the cause of the transformer cooking. Just getting the ground for the heater windings on, and to get a lot of heat into these earth tags to make them take solder. What the hell's that? Some idiot. Five volt line's alright. Okay, so let's see if we can get this cap wired in while I can still get at it. Well, that's everything pretty much connected, except I haven't put on the centre tap wire here. Now the centre tap wire goes to the can of this first smoothing or filter cap, and this is connected even when the speaker isn't plugged in, so it goes first to this filter cap, then through the speaker field coil. So this is connected all the time. I'm wondering if I want to change that before I go any further. Might be better to do that. I will have to change it anyway. So yeah, I'll get onto that. I'll just pull the high tension lead off it and put a meter on it and see what it shows. But it's original and still in circuit, and my guess is that it's not very healthy. There we go. So let's just push test and see what it says it's looking at. 9.02 picofarads. I'd say it's not doing much at all anyway. It needs to go. It looks Relatively easy to get out, surprisingly. I think I can just twist these tabs and pull the can out and leave this phenolic base in place, if I'm lucky. I have to get all these, gee, that's a mess. I have to get all these leads off it though. That's one. This resistor. Okay, so that's the can desoldered, and I think we can now just pull it through. Oh, I got it after a bit of a struggle. So 15450, it doesn't say 15 watt, FPS 143, 15 kc, no idea. In any case, I'm going to replace it with, well, I've got a 16 microfarad cap there, I'll put that in it. So I finally got this can open. I bought a set of little dental tools, and this one's particularly useful for it. It's got a flat edge there and an angled one there, and they're quite sharp. I was able to just get it in there and prise the edge up, and there's a little ring that sits inside it. So I'm hoping that this will just pull out. It's kind of, oh, okay. I might have to get something in there and hook that all out. Well, there we go. Looks pretty dried out. I don't know if I can get this out or... Okay, let's just see if I can get pliers in there and pull it out. There we go. Okay, so I've got a 16 UF electrolytic mounted inside this, back in the chassis, all the wires soldered onto it. I think I've got everything right. So what I'm going to do now is put some power on it. Now there's no rectifier valve in it, so the high tension voltage won't go past the rectifier tube socket. Now I'm just going to put a lead on the center tap here so I can check voltages relative to the center tap. Okay, so here we go. I've got it on dim bulb plugged in. We'll just see nothing on the dim bulb, so that's promising. Okay, so put this on AC volts first and see if we've got anything coming out of there. So just looking at that, we should have something there. 313 volts, or 310. And looking at the other side of the AC, (313, 312). Okay, so that's both sides of the high voltage to the center tap. Now let's just have a look at the 5 volt line. We should have 5 volts AC here, 5.2, and the 6.3 volt heaters are here somewhere. Brown wire it was, there we go. Let's have a look at that. 6.5 volts, and that should also appear somewhere over here, I think. Is that? Yep, 6.5 volts around there to that valve. We should have it over here somewhere too. There we are. Yeah, so that's all right, and sparks aren't coming out or anything like that. Now, do I dare put the rectifier valve in and see what we've got? I'm going to give it a go. So here we go. I guess the rectifier tube is all right. I've got no idea. I'll plug it in. This goes in here. We'll see what happens. Well, nothing alarming. That's good. All right, I'll put this on DC volts and just see what we've got over here. 411 volts. That's unloaded of course, but we have B plus as far as that. Now that should go as far as the speaker plug here. I think it's there. Yep, 412, and it doesn't go any further at this stage. I'll turn it off before I zap myself. Well, I think we're getting somewhere anyway. We've got voltages, which is a really good start. But I'm going to call this the end of part 1, and we'll come back in part 2 and deal with the rest of it. Thanks again to Ron Pond for the transformer. It saved me a long wait probably to find a replacement, and I hate half finishing a job and leaving it sitting, so this is great. I'm hoping that the rest of the chassis doesn't present too many problems. There's a lot of caps to be changed and all the usual thing, but that should hopefully be all right. One thing that does worry me a little bit is the field coil on the speaker only measured 500 ohms. Now I don't know if that's normal or not. They're normally 1000 to 1500, the ones I've seen, so I'm hoping I don't have shorter turns in that. But if anyone knows what the field coils on these speakers are, please let me know in the comments. That'd be great. Anyway, I'll catch you in part 2, and we'll have another go at this radio. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Catch you then.